Hi everyone, and today is the first day of my Alaska vlog. We're starting off our journey in Chena Hot Springs Resort, which is near Fairbanks, Alaska. We spent a whole day at this place and there's lots of cool things that we did, like the Aurora Ice Museum. The Aurora Ice Museum was fascinating. You had to book a 45-minute tour of the place, which included a tour of the entire museum, which was constantly kept at 22 degrees Fahrenheit. Very chilly, so they offered coats for us to put on. And there was tons of really cool ice sculptures. Even the chandeliers were made out of ice. And there were 4 rooms in the back of this museum that you could actually, if you paid enough, stay in for an entire night. However, there is no plumbing or bathrooms in the entire building, so you had to go to the bathroom somewhere else. But look at the detail on some of these things. I mean, just fascinating, isn't it? As you can see here, we are going into a room here. It is very dark, so I apologize for the quality. I tried to brighten it up as much as I could. However, my GoPro does not have flash. As you can see, there were some flowers frozen in ice, and there was actually a bouquet for the owner of the place's wedding that was frozen in ice as well. This was a Christmas tree made out of ice that I accidentally bumped into, even though they said don't touch anything, so I didn't mean to bump into that. Here's a snowman, and as you can see, there is also an igloo inside this ice museum. We took a couple cool photos in there. We went in there and it was the acoustics were very crazy in there. And in addition to that, as you can see, there is a chessboard, there's some knights jousting, there's an ice bar inside, which I will get to in just a minute. We got apple martinis made in an ice martini glass, which was super cool, and I highly recommend visiting the Aurora Ice Museum if you ever make your way up to Fairbanks, Alaska. As you can see here, this guy is crafting the iced martini glasses. He's chiseling away at it. It was very interesting to watch him make these, and he was seemingly unbothered by the fact that so many people were watching him work, which I don't know if I could do, but as you can see, I'm getting my iced martini made, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to pick up the glass without freezing my hand off. So they provided a paper towel for us to have a better grip on it. And as you can see, I just took a sip, and you can't hear it, but I did say it was great. It was a freaking fantastic apple martini. It was amazing. It definitely warmed you up. And at the end, you can smash your glass as I did.
Just in the middle of nowhere, there's no service.
And on to the next part, perhaps the main attraction of the Chena Hot Springs Resort, the actual hot springs themselves. One of the most beautiful things that we saw in Alaska was this hot springs. Here's a photo of me just chilling in the springs. The water was some of the hottest water I had ever experienced in my life. The next thing that we did on that day was we took an ATV tour of the property. The ATV tour was super fun. We had about 45 minutes to ride ATVs around the property, and we saw lots of cool sights and lots of cool views. It was a really, really cool area, and if you ever go to the Chena Hot Springs Resort, which you can actually stay at, I highly recommend checking out the ATV tours. As you can see, I almost lost my camera there for a second. It was very hard to get a good video on the ATVs. This was one of the stops we went to with a really nice view of some of the mountains in the distance. Here is a very large beaver dam or Beaver Lodge. which we stopped and looked at. We didn't see any beavers there when we were there, but it was still really cool to see. I gotta say, ATVs were awesome. Here's a video of us just messing around on ATVs. I actually end up bumping into one of my friends at the end of this video, and it's pretty funny. As you can see, I just bumped into him. Pretty funny stuff. Then we decided to look for a plane crash which was hidden in the woods. Our ATV tour guide mentioned that to us, so we wanted to go find it. You can find it from Geocache if you know what the app Geocache is. Sadly, we didn't have the app downloaded, and because we had no service, we could not find it. So we went on a hike instead. A hike up the mountain that was on the property to see if we could find anything cool. Please excuse my bad hair day that I was having that day, probably from the ATV tour. I did purchase a monocular, which is basically a single lens binocular, to search for wildlife and get a better look at things from farther away. I highly suggest bringing a pair of binoculars or buying a monocular if you ever want to go to Alaska. As you can see, that little outhouse looking thing looked very similar to Shrek's little outhouse in Shrek's movie. As you can see, the landscape looked charred, and that is because there was a natural forest fire in that area that had burned down most of that forest in that area. There was not much life in this area. However, the view of the mountains in the distance was simply too breathtaking to ignore. And the burned forest was almost a beautiful yet twisted, kind of scary form of nature in itself. It was kind of scary, but it was still fascinating to see so much of the landscape burned down. This is a natural occurrence that does happen, but it is unclear how this fire started. As we hiked farther and farther up, we kept noticing that the trail just kind of never seemed to end, and at one point we eventually decided to just head back down the mountain. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and stay tuned for more Alaska vlogs. I will be posting a couple more videos because I have several more things to share with you guys. Make sure you smash that like button and smash that subscribe button if you haven't already, and thank you for watching my channel.